Child, can you remember who you were before the world told you who you should be?
Deep down, I've always believed in myself and known I'm just as good as anyone else. But lately, I notice that the world treats me differently because I'm a girl. From sunrise to sunset, my sisters and I do chores at home, while my brothers get to do whatever they want. And I see my mother carry the full burden of tending to her family. In church, they don't like when I ask questions, so I've learned to sit quietly. In the street, I see girls who walk in fear, as mothers warn their daughters not to give men the wrong idea. Everywhere I look, the world tells me I'm inferior, but this does not feel true. What's going on here?
Girl child, you are right to question.
Do I know you?
I am your mother's mother and her mother's mother. I am the mother of all.
Then you must know why the world treats us this way. Please tell me, how did this come to be?
Well, it is complicated, and there are many overlapping theories, but we do know that these traditions were man-made long, long ago. It was not always like this. In the beginning, men and women walked side by side together, valued equally as hunters and gatherers. Eventually, we began to settle down, and around this time, we elevated the idea of property and the need to own land and control a workforce. Men became protective of what was I'm gonna get your face. Don't listen to my tutu. Don't listen to my tutu. I can't have another woman. So don't listen to my tutu. My grandma told your grandma, I'm gonna sip your flag on fire. Talking about midnight. Look at my king, all dressed in red, like the white boy head. $5 to kill the day. Like a movie night, talking about midnight, like the white boy head. Like a movie night, like a movie night. My playboy and your playboy, sitting by the fire. My playboy to your playboy, I'm gonna set your flag on fire. Talking about midnight, like the white boy head. Like a movie night, like a movie night. See that guy all dressed in blue, like the white boy head. He got a plan for the love of his day. Like a movie night, talking about midnight, like the white boy head. Like a movie night, like a movie night. Talking about my girl was sitting by the bayou. My girl to your white girl, I got a hot boy and it's fire. Talking about a hot boy, hot boy. Once upon a time, there was a kind girl named Cinderella. All of the animals loved her, especially two mice named Gus and Jacques. They'd do anything for the girl they called Cinderella. Cinderella lived with her stepmother and her two stepsisters, Anastasia and Drizella. They were very mean to Cinderella, making her work all day cleaning, sewing, and cooking. She tried her best to make them happy. Cinderella's stepmother, Lady Tremaine, was cold, cruel, and jealous of Cinderella's charm and beauty. She enjoyed giving Cinderella extra chores to do, such as bathing her cat, Lucifer. One day, a messenger arrived with a special invitation. There was going to be a royal ball at the palace. The king wanted his son to find a bride. Every young woman in the kingdom was invited, including Cinderella. Cinderella was very excited about the ball. In the attic, she found a dress that had belonged to her mother. It was a bit old-fashioned, but Cinderella could make it beautiful. Lady Tremaine didn't want Cinderella to go to the ball. She wanted the prince to meet Anastasia and Drizella. Maybe he would marry one of them. Lady Tremaine kept Cinderella busy with chores that would take her all night to finish. While Cinderella was working, the mice and birds fixed her dress. They added ribbons and beads that the two stepsisters had thrown away. Working together, the animals turned a simple dress into a fabulous gown. Cinderella was overjoyed when she saw the dress. Now she could go to the ball. Oh, thank you so much, Cinderella said to Gus, Jacques, and the birds. When the stepsisters saw their old ribbons and beads on Cinderella's dress, they flew into a rage. They ripped the dress and pulled off the beads. Lady Tremaine didn't stop them. Cinderella's dream of going to the ball was through. Cinderella ran away to the garden to cry. Suddenly, her fairy godmother appeared. With a wave of her wand, she turned a pumpkin into an elegant coat. Cinderella could now go to the ball, but her dress was still ruined. Bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, said the fairy godmother, waving her wand again. Cinderella was now wearing a beautiful gown and sparkling glass slippers. But all of this came with a warning. When the clock struck midnight, the magic spell would wear off.
See, and these all of the fairy tales taught us girls the best you could hope for was a prince or a knight in shining armor, someone to come save you from the dooms, right? You need to be kissed by a prince to be awakened or some bullshit. But the truth was that you girls, us women, were the world's first slaves.
Girl child, can you
Them marrying you off in the beginning of time, you were their property. You were your parents' property, mainly your fathers. And they gained riches or goats or animals or land or whatever they gained. And they didn't give a fuck on how you were treated.
remember who you were before the world told you who you should be?
Deep down, I've always believed in myself and known I'm just as good as anyone else. But lately, I notice that the world treats me differently because I'm a girl. From sunrise to sunset, my sisters and I do chores at home, while my brothers get to do whatever they want. And I see my mother carry the full burden of tending to our family. In church, they don't like when I ask questions, so I've learned to sit quietly. In the street, I see girls who walk in fear, as mothers warn their daughters not to give them the wrong idea. Everywhere I look, the world tells me I'm inferior, but this does not feel true. What's going on here?
Girl child, you are right to question.
Do I know you?
I am your mother's mother and her mother's mother. I am the mother of all.
Then you must know why the world treats us this way. Please tell me.
I'm going to tell you why, girl. You know, the mule is about to tell you why. Why? What's good, everybody? What's good? Why? What's good, Miss Letitia? Love you, honey. Miss Kira, Miss Not for Everyone. Let me show y'all why the world treats you different. This is some bullshit from This Might Be Risky. This is men telling you what they really think. And a lot of times I think women, we hear it so much in passing, we never want to really pay attention to the words that come out of their mouth. But listen to this.
Trying to do that work or to be or to have that stance as a man.
Bro, respectfully, we don't disagree. Hold on, Fatty. Is he done? Are you done? Bro, we don't disagree with you. The genie's not going to go inside of the bottle again. Women are free. They're not going to give the shit back again.
Did you hear him? The genie is not going to go back into the bottle. Women are free. We're not going to have that again. Listen to what this nigga said. You have to pay attention to the words that come out of their mouth. They don't want you free. This genie is not going back into the bottle. We know you're free now. Because see, before you were enslaved, you just didn't know you were enslaved. Oh, Jesus. They use these titles as wife and concubine. And they told you. But see, the wife and the concubine was somebody's fucking property. What is the property? You were a slave. And now, and see, they keep on bringing back marriages in the 60s and 50s. This was before women had rights. Soon as women had rights not to be beaten and raped and abused and not have all these men treating them horrible, you know what those women did? Divorce. They are angry about it. Listen, in the 80s was the most divorce rates in history. You know why? Because the women finally got rights not to have to be this way. They want to talk about like feminism did it. No, nigga, just having some rights to say, God damn, I don't want to be beaten every day. God damn, I don't want to be mistreated every day. What make you think women gave up good men? This is the sickest shit. And this is the saddest thing women falling for. Oh my God, you left perfectly good men. You left men to be in when they tell you left your man for a welfare check, I need every woman to think to even qualify for any type of welfare subsidy or anything, like even food stamps, everything. You have to be in poverty. I can't qualify for welfare. I don't qualify for food stamps, and I'm not rich. How in the hell y'all making it seem like these people was living so good and abundant that they were living at the scraps, a little above dogs and animals, and you seem to tell me that that's what they chose to check for? That meant their men were not capable of providing for them. And for you to shit on women who got some assistance, tell me how low of a man you are. But I'm gonna let this play because I really need y'all to hear this, man. I don't wanna. Let me start it over. Hold on.
Trying to do that work, or to be, or to have that stance as a man.
Bro, respectfully, we don't disagree with you. Is he done? Are you done? Bro, we don't disagree with you. The genie's not going to go inside of the bottle again. Women are free. They're not going to give the shit back again. It's fine. We agree. Don't ignore that. But if Lauren is saying we are paying for our grannies and our grannies because they didn't know what, are you willing to be like your granny? Barefoot on the kitchen, taking care of the kids, no right to property, no right to credit cards, no right to nothing.
Are you willing to be like your granny and grannies? No right to property, no rights to credit cards. Barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Let me replay that. See, this is what they want. This is what the danger of that damn Pearly thing. Because see, Pearly thing was white. This is the thing where I say what troubles me with black men who say this shit. The thing that troubles me is sometimes in history and in culture, the oppressed become the oppressor. And I have said this over and over. I feel like these black men, and listen, when these motherfuckers say you white people catch a cold and black people catch the flu, I will tell you, if white men catch a cold and black men catch the flu, black women catch pneumonia. You understand? If the black man is less than a black white man, you need to know that your ass as a woman to him is lesser than him. So you are catching it worse. And I don't understand how you sit up here as black women pretending that their plight is harder or worse than fucking yours.
Trying to do that work, or to be, or to have that stance as a man.
Bro, respectfully, we don't disagree with you. Is he done? Are you done? Bro, we don't disagree with you. The genie's not going to go inside of the bottle again. Women are free. They're not going to give the shit back again. It's fine. We agree. Don't ignore that. But if Lauren is saying we are paying for our grannies and our grannies because they didn't know what, are you willing to be like your granny? Barefoot on the kitchen, taking care of the kids, no right to property, no right to credit cards, no right to nothing.
So for us to be traditional women, we got to be like our grannies. Barefoot on the kitchen floor preparing meals. No rights to property, no rights to credit cards, no rights to nothing. This is what he wants these women to agree to. And this is where I say women have to stop trying to appease these motherfuckers. I am happily married. But I'm not married to an asshole. I am married to somebody who knows that he has mostly sons and a daughter. But you know what? He loves and cherishes all of them. I do not want one of my sons to be a slave, and I don't want my fucking daughter to be a slave under any circumstance. And this is the thing, these sick men, most of them don't even claim to have sons. They have daughters. And they would rather their daughter be a slave to somebody. This is what I'm saying. We have to be very vigilant, young ladies. Because these men, even though they will tell you they have all these daughters, Hamp says he have 5 daughters, 1 son. JP have 3 daughters, 0 son. Anton Daniels have a daughter, no sons. But yet they want you to be in a slave. Nigga, if I gotta go back, no, I don't want to have my great grand thing where she barefoot in the kitchen and no rights to property and no, I don't want to live that. No. Because she done came too far for me to have to go back there. But listen, Angry Man is going to say something. And this is very telling on the black man's psyche. They would rather themselves be back in slavery for you to be in slavery with them, for you to have a fucking right. But I'm going to let me go just a little further. I'm going to let it play. I got to let it play. I'm sorry. Because Lord, this shit right here pissed me off.
We don't disagree with you. The genie's not going to go inside of the bottle again. Women are free. They're not going to give the shit back again. It's fine. We agree. Don't ignore that. But if Laura is saying we are paying for our grannies and our grannies because they didn't know what, are you willing to be like your granny? Barefoot on the kitchen, taking care of the kids, no right to property, no right to credit cards, no right to nothing. Are you willing to go to that? But Fatty, she's not even accurate. Lauren, fantastic. Let them answer the question, man. It's fine.
Not a good question.
It's a great question. You guys, a great question. Go ahead, why you silent now? Are you guys willing to go back?
I know what it looks like. I can't. It's hard to answer that. But
Alex, this is what I meant. This is what I meant earlier. This is what I meant earlier when I. Bro, respectfully, we don't disagree with you, Fatty. Is he done? Are you done? Bro, we don't disagree with you. The genie's not going to go inside of the bottle again. Women are free. They're not going to give the shit back again. It's fine. We agree. Don't ignore that. But if Laura is saying we are paying for our grannies and our grannies because they didn't know what, are you willing to be like your granny? Barefoot on the kitchen, taking care of the kids, no right to property, no right to credit cards, no right to nothing. Are you willing to go to that? But Fatty, she's not even accurate. Lauren, fantastic. Let them answer the question, man. It's fine.
not a good question.
It's a great question. You guys, a great question.
Go ahead.
Why are you silent now? Are you guys willing to go back?
I know what it looks like. I can't. It's hard to answer that. But
Alex, this is what I meant. This is what I meant earlier. This is what I meant earlier when I said that the women are cherry picking the parts about feminism that they like, but getting rid of the other parts. Just because you cherry pick it does not mean you're not still operating as a feminist. And this is the point that Fatty's making right now. You see what I'm saying? So you're not willing to go back to the pre-feminist era.
Now, this is key. You're not willing to go back to the pre-feminist era. But he's willing to go back to the pre-slavery era. Just to put women. Listen to this shit. This shit is so mind-blowing. Listen to what he's willing to go back to.
Because you're a feminist.
no, because
But getting rid of the other parts. Just because you cherry pick it does not mean you're not still operating as a feminist. And this point is that is making right now. You see what I'm saying? So you're not willing.
And let me go back to what she was saying. She said, listen, this girl is only 32 years old. I'm born into this. I'm born free. I'm born into rules. I'm born into having laws. I'm born into being able to open my own bank account. You want me to say I'm going to go back to the 1950s or 60s? No, I'm not. I don't even know nothing about that. That is this young lady's whole point. These motherfuckers want us to answer for people in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and you wasn't even born in. This is the sickness. These niggas wasn't even born in, but they want the women to go back to them. You don't know what them women was like. You only see that shit on TV and the movies. But these crazy men have romanticized that this is how it was. That's just like me fucking watching some shit, the Ponderosa of Gone with the Wind. And I see these white men being so debonair, and I think, oh, this is how all men were. This is the sickness of these men. They romanticize people on TV and in movies and think, oh, the women in the 60s, nigga, you was born in 82. Nigga, you was born in 90. Shut the fuck up and telling me on how the women in the 40s and 50s was, because you was not alive then. They were not alive, they were not around to tell us anything about how other women were. Let me rewind. I'm sorry, I'm not going to keep stopping it because I keep saying I'm not going to stop it, but let me just let y'all, I'm going to let it play.
No right to credit card, no right to nothing. Are you willing to go? Bro, we don't disagree with you. The genie's not going to go inside of the bottle again. Women are free, they're not going to give the shit back again. It's fine, we agree. Don't ignore that. But if Laura is saying we are paying for our grannies and our grannies because they didn't know what, are you willing to be like your granny? Barefoot on the kitchen, taking care of the kids, no right to property, no right to credit cards, no right to nothing. Are you willing to go to that? But Fatty, she's not even accurate. Let them answer the question, man. It's fine.
Not a good question.
It's a great question. You asked a great question. Go ahead by yourself now. Are you guys willing to go back?
I don't know what it looks like. I can't. It's hard to answer that. But I would say
This is what I meant. This is what I meant earlier.
You see, she being honest. She said, I don't even know what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? She's being honest. But these niggas can't be honest and say what they don't know what it look like. She's telling them, I don't even know what it look like.
It's a great question. You asked a great question.
Go
ahead by yourself now. Are you guys willing to go back?
I don't know what it looks like. I can't. It's hard to answer that. But I would say
This is what I meant. This is what I meant earlier. This is what I meant earlier when I said that the women are cherry picking the parts about feminism that they like, but getting rid of the other parts. Just because you cherry pick it does not mean you're not still operating as a feminist. And this point is that is making right now. You see what I'm saying? So you're not willing to go back to the pre-feminist era because you're a feminist.
no, because we were born into this.
But this is the thing. They want you to go back pre-feminist because they want you not to own anything. They want you to not to have any rights. They want you not to. This is crazy. And the thing is leading by black men who at one point didn't have no rights, who at one point was in servitude, who at one point was enslaved and raped and beaten and mistreated. But you know what? It's just like the poet's white man used to say, at least I'm not a nigga. And the poet's black man could always say, at least I'm not a black woman. When Malcolm X said that the most unprotected person in America was the black woman, he never lied. And it's still true till this day. It is still true till this day.
Why is she saying that the women are cherry picking the parts about feminism that they like, but getting rid of the other parts? Just because you cherry pick it does not mean you're not still operating as a feminist. And this is point that is making right now. You see what I'm saying? So you're not willing to go back to the pre-feminist era because you're a feminist.
No, because we were born into this right here. We don't know anything about
But just because you were born into it does not mean that.
And that's what she's saying. Look, I'm born into this. I don't know nothing about not having rights. I don't know nothing about not owning land or having voting. I don't know nothing about that. But now you want me to go and give up the shit that I've been born into? Why? And this is why I have a problem, with all the religions, all of everything. If you study enough, ladies, you will learn that they all taught you that you were shit, that you were second class, that you were less than.
That label doesn't apply.
Yeah, but you're saying
To go back to the pre-feminist era because you're a feminist.
no, because we were born into this right here. We don't know anything
But
about
just
it.
because you were born into it does not mean that label doesn't apply.
Yeah, but you're saying something we have not thought about in all aspects, like you're thinking. We're not cherry picking anything. We were born into, okay, grow up, get a job, go to school.
Okay, but sis, even though I was born in this era.
And like she just told him, we were brought up, go to school, get a job. This is what we know.
Something we have not thought about in all aspects, like you're thinking. We're not cherry picking anything. We were born into, okay, grow up, get a job, go to school.
Okay, but sis, even though I was born in this era free, if I went to a country and somebody enslaved me, I would still end up being a slave. It doesn't change the era I live in doesn't change the definition of the word.
So this is what I want y'all to hear. Angry Man himself is still admitting that he still feels a slave. If he was to go somewhere and be enslaved, it don't matter because he would still know the definition of slavery. So he listens. This is what is so key. He knows that they want to enslave women. He knows that there's the whole thing with submissive and all of that, that's to enslave women. Right? And this shit, what he's telling you right now, is letting you know that he wants to enslave women. Listen.
But sis, even though I was born in this era, if I went to a country and somebody enslaved me, I would still end up being a slave. It doesn't change the era I live in doesn't change the definition of the word. Just because you were.
Listen. He don't even comprehend what she's saying. She just saying, look, I never was born into that. So how would I know? He wants you to know it.
It's hard to answer that. Like I would say,
This is what I meant. This is what I meant earlier. This is what I meant earlier when I said that the women are cherry picking the parts about feminism that they like, but getting rid of the other parts. Just because you cherry pick it does not mean you're not still operating as a feminist. And this point that is making right now. You see what I'm saying? So you're not willing to go back to the pre-feminist era because you're a feminist.
no, because we were born into this right here. We don't know anything about
But just
it.
because you were born into it does not mean that label doesn't apply.
Yeah, but you're saying something we
I'm not thought about in all aspects, like you're thinking. We're not cherry picking anything. We were born into, okay, grow up, get a job, go to school.
Okay, but sis, even though I was born in this era free, if I went to a country and somebody enslaved me, I would still end up being.
Even though he was born in this era free, born free, if he went somewhere and they enslaved him,
Somebody enslaved me, I would still end up being a slave. It doesn't change the era I live in doesn't change the definition of being a slave. It doesn't change okay, but sis, even though I was born in this era free, if I went to a country and somebody enslaved me, I would still end up being a slave. It doesn't change the era I live in doesn't change the definition of the word. And just because you were born into it does not mean that label doesn't apply.
so basically, just because, ladies, you are born fucking free, finally you're born free, you should be willingly putting yourself back into slavery. He wants you to willingly give up your rights. He wants you to willingly go back into servitude. He wants you willingly not to be able to own property, not to be able to vote, not to do anything, not to own a bank account, not nothing. But he wants you to willingly. And this is why they always attack fucking feminism. And the truth was, it was not feminism that gave you those rights. It was fucking civil rights. The same civil rights they got, they included it for fucking women and men. And that's what they don't want to tell you. It wasn't feminism that gave you no rights. It was civil rights. Civil fucking rights gave you this. Yes, the feminists pushed the agenda, but it was also civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King. The rights that we have basically came under civil fucking rights. You're not going to find those rights under no feminist rights. You're going to find them under civil rights. Let me let y'all listen to this asshole one more again. But this is what they want to tell women. You're not going to want to be You're not going to want to be barefoot on the stove watching the children because it's feminism. Feminism is the evil boogeyman. And the truth is, we all fall for him. Let me tell you, Frederick Douglass fought for fucking feminist rights.
We are paying for our grannies and our grannies because they didn't know what. Are you willing to be like your granny? Barefoot on the kitchen, taking care of the kids, no right to property, no right to credit card, no right to nothing. Are you willing to go to that? But Fatty, she's not even accurate. Lauren. Fantastic. Let them answer the question, man. It's fine.
Not a good question.
It's a great question. It's a great question.
Go ahead.
Why are you silent now? Are you guys willing to go back?
I know what it looks like. I can't. It's hard to answer that. Like,
This is what I meant. This is what I meant earlier. This is what I meant earlier. Bro, respectfully, we don't need to. Hold on, Fatty. Is he done? Are you done? Bro, we don't disagree with you. The genie's not going to go inside of the bottle again. Women are free. They're not going to give the shit back again. Fine, we agree. Don't ignore that. But if Laura is saying we are paying for our grannies and our grannies because they didn't know what. Are you willing to be like your granny? Barefoot on the kitchen, taking care of the kids, no right to property, no right to credit card, no right to nothing. Are you willing to go to that? But Fatty, she's not even accurate. Lauren. Fantastic. Let them answer the question, man. It's fine.
not a good question. answer that. Like, I would say.
This is what I meant. This is what I meant earlier. This is what I meant earlier when I said that the women are cherry picking the parts about feminism that they like, but getting rid of the other parts. Just because you cherry pick it does not mean you're not still operating as a feminist. And this is the point that is making right now. You see what I'm saying? So you're not willing to go back to the pre-feminist era because you're a feminist.
No, because we were born into this right here. We don't know anything
But
about
just
it.
because you were born into it does not mean that that label doesn't apply.
Yeah, but you're saying
That's like somebody asking black people, are you willing to put yourself back into slavery? And if a black man say nah, because you are pre-freedom, you want to be you want to be free. Are you willing to go back to pre-freedom? That is like asking a black man, do they want to go back to pre-freedom before they had freedom? How many black men do you know want to go back? Because I'm going to be honest with you, the way some of them talking, I think some of them want to be slaves. I really do.
The pre-feminist era because you're a feminist.
no, because we were born into this right here. We don't know anything
But
about
just
it.
because you were born into it does not mean that that label doesn't apply.
Yeah, but you're saying thought about in all aspects, like you're thinking. We're not cherry picking anything. We were born into grow up, get a job, go to school.
Okay, but sis, even though I was born in this era free, if I went to a country and somebody enslaved me, I would still end up being a slave. It doesn't change the era I live in doesn't change the definition of the word. Just because you were born into it does not mean that that label doesn't apply.
Yeah, but you're saying thought about in all aspects, like you're thinking. We're not cherry picking anything. We were born into grow up, get a job, go to school.
Okay, but sis, even though I was born in this era free, if I went to a country and somebody enslaved me, I would still end up being a slave. It doesn't change the era I live in doesn't change the definition of the word.
And this man was saying this here with like a smile or a joke. The era that I was born in wouldn't change the fact that I was gonna be a slave. I just cannot. Thank you everyone for coming. And this has been a short stream, but this shit is depressing how our men think. And also, I need our women to start being women and thinking for themselves. You're no longer a second-class citizen, women. Listen, it took thousands of years, not just here in America, but even long before America, before women had rights, had freedoms. And you motherfucking women still want to be slaves. You bitches still want to fucking be slaves. You bitches. Oh my God. And you know, my disdain is for the Miss Sealies. The bottom bitch. The bottom bitch is the attack whore. The bottom bitch is the prostitute whore that they prostitute out that none of them really want. But she gonna beat up every bitch on his team and attack dog. She's his main attack dog. The Miss Sealy, It's gonna be that kind bitch who you gonna lean on. And the women think, oh my God, she's so sweet. And they do her so wrong. I'm gonna go to her for advice. But the little do they know, she gonna be the bitch to tell her go to beat her. Women, be your own fucking leaders. Don't count on no fucking body. Don't count on nobody that's telling you you are lesser than. Don't count on all these bitches got an agenda. And I'm gonna tell you this. The game has been so plagued on women. You really can't trust none of them. You cannot trust any of them. All of these motherfuckers got a crazy goal to teach you some bullshit. All of them got it. And I'm gonna tell you the ones that's gonna teach you the truth. You ain't gonna like them. You are not gonna like the motherfuckers who are here to tell you the truth. Because the ones who gonna tell you the truth is gonna be the motherfuckers like me. So I'm in this show here because it's just a lot of people want to be followers, man. A lot of people want to be the Miss Sillies of the world. They think, oh, if I do everything he say, I'm going to finally win. No, bitch. You're going to be a stepping stone. Miss Sillies is never appreciated. The bottom bitch is never appreciated. If he marry a bottom bitch, she going to have to know she the bottom bitch, and he going to still cheat on her with every bitch coming out his way. I could teach you how to be like me. But it ain't pretty. It ain't cute. And it ain't really something for the internet. So, thank you all.